The height advantage going to Mr. Perry, also a slight weight advantage and a very slight reach advantage. There are your records in the ring. Torrence 10-6, Perry is 11-4. Let's go upstairs and get the introductions from Eddie Darien.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 10 rounds, and it's in the junior middleweight division. Once again, the judges, Rudy Battle, Tommy Kazmarek, and William Kostrov. The timekeeper to bell is Roy Johnson. Counting for the knockdown seconds, alternate referee Vinny Rainoni. In the ring at this time, the man in charge of the scheduled 10-round junior middleweight bout, referee Tony Orlando. And now, boxing fans, introducing the principals. First, in the blue corner, wearing the red trunks with the white trim, he weighed in at 153 3/4 pounds. This gentleman hails all the way from Chicago, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Jake Torrence. And his opponent in the red corner, wearing the light blue trunks with the dark blue trim. He weighed in at an even 155 pounds. This young man hails from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Kevin "The Bull" Perry.
Hey, fellas, you both know the boxing rules of the state of New Jersey. I expect you to abide by them. Firstly, when I tell you to break, I want you to step back, stop punching, okay? Protect yourself at all times. I want a clean, professional fight. Shake hands.
All right, Tony Orlando with the final instructions to Kevin Perry, who will be wearing the blue with the dark blue trim. Jake Torrence wearing the red with the white trim. Torrence, 24 years old, 10-6, 3 knockouts. And Perry is 23, a record of 11-4, 9 knockouts. Now, Kevin Perry, we mentioned Leroy Boone with the who's who of boxing career. Kevin Perry, same kind of background. He's fought people like Mark Vidal, Mike McCallum, Buster Drayton, Luis Resto, Tony Braxton. That's a pretty good resume right there.
Yeah, and the way he came out here tonight, it looks like he wants to go home early. He came out charging. And he's still charging.
Round one scheduled for 10, junior middleweights. We want to remind all of our station systems along our Super Fights network that we will be going off the air as scheduled at precisely 11 p.m. Eastern Time.
Kevin told us early in the day in an interview that his manager has him running 10 miles a day. He's in the best shape of his life. That's an awful lot of running every day.
Jake Torrence, wearing the red trunks with the white trim, was 10-2. That he suffered 4 straight setbacks. He told me he thought he was bum-rapped by the judges, but that's all behind him, and he says he's out to redeem himself.
Jake handles himself very well. I like the way he blocks that jab. He just flicks it right off with that right open glove.
Kevin Perry is a tailor when he's not boxing, Arthur, and I'm sure he'd like to do some alterations on Jake Torrence.
Yeah, that's right. That surprised me that a young man would be a tailor, but he said he's a very good tailor. That was a little low below. Torrence threw it a little low, and the referee did warn him.
In fact, I've got a couple of loose buttons if Kevin's not busy after the fight. Round one is closing down. 40 seconds and counting. Torrence, a very clever fighter. You alluded to that. Kind of moves in and out. A basic boxer puncher.
This appears to me to start of a pretty good fight. They're very evenly contested. And they're fast. They're very fast, quick, very quick in the ring.
Perry told us he can switch to southpaw, but he has been told not to. 20 seconds remaining in the first round.
That Perry is quite a fighter. He follows up, he throws the right, he threw 2 left uppercuts then and follows in sequence. And that's what you have to do to score points in boxing.
Round one closing. Earlier, we had an opportunity to get the feelings of both these fighters, Jake Torrence and Kevin Perry, on the subject of tonight's fight. So let's listen in first to Kevin Perry.
My fighting style, I can box, I can punch, I can do whatever it is to call in there to do in the ring. If this guy come right after me, it's going to be a battle. You know, if he runs, it's still going to be a battle. I have to chase him down. We have to do what we have to do in there.
Well, at this moment, I've been up and down and everything. I've been traveling a little bit. I had a couple bad outings and everything, but I'm trying to develop myself to get back up there. I'm trying to redeem myself, however, you know, to do that. But if I take this guy out tonight, I think I'll be in good shape.
Here's a good look at Jake Torrence. We mentioned he had lost 4 in a row after going 10-2. 3 of the boxers who have beaten Torrence this year are good prospects. Robert Bam Bam Hines, Darrell Chambers of Emmanuel Stewart's Kronk Gym, and Julian Jackson, who's unbeaten. Here we go, round 2, scheduled for 10. Steve Albert with Arthur Mercati, Dick Landis. We had Randy Gordon drop by earlier for the main event, won by Pinklin Thomas, a 10-round decision over Leroy Boone.
Kevin Perry is in very, very good balance, and he's a good inside fighter. He punches to the body.
Torrence's best weapons, combinations, left hook followed by a right cross. Best weapon, Kevin Perry, left hook. So we'll keep an eye on those things.
Well, Perry seems to have a very good left hook and also a good right cross and an excellent jab. He's a very good fighter, an all-around fighter. And I'm not detracting, of course, from Torrence. He's also handles himself very, very well.
Perry wearing the light blue with the dark blue accessory. Jake Torrence in the red with the white trim. Torrence out of Jackson, Mississippi, raised in St. Louis. Now makes his home in Gary, Indiana. Kevin Perry is from nearby Philadelphia.
You notice that neither one of them backtracks at all. They both come in. And they're very, very busy fighters. They're always throwing punches. There's no holding, no clinching. It's an easy fight for a referee to handle.
The biggest victory by Kevin Perry, March 4th, 1980. He knocked out Mark Medal in the first round. Medal is now 21-1. Perry was also knocked out by a fighter by the name of Richard Nixon in Atlantic City earlier this year.
Richard Nixon, you said?
Yes, sir. I've got a million lines, but I'll stay away.
I thought he retired.
Okay.
They both have excellent jabs, and on many occasions they both land at the same time. I like the way Torrence picks off that left jab of
Kevin Perry. Jake Torrence fighting since age 12. He beat a couple of guys by the names of Milton McCrory and Bobby Joe Young on the same night in the amateurs. That's not too shabby. Jake Torrence in the red.
Well, he's had 140 amateur fights. That's an awful lot. A lot of these fighters today have been in the amateurs a long time. I wonder sometimes, though, if they stay in too long.
Well, he was in there for an extensive period of time, 150 amateur fights. He won 140. Perry, incidentally, only, I say only, as compared to Jake Torrence, 89 amateur fights. He won 81. Round 2 is over. Well, we want you to be sure to be with us for our next edition of Super Fights of the Month, Wednesday, November the 23rd. Former WBA light heavyweight champion Mike Rushman will be on the card, along with featherweight extraordinaire Rocky Lockridge, rated number 4 by the WBA and WBC. Lightweight Livingstone Bramble, the number 1 contender in the WBA, will also be on hand. That's live from Atlantic City. Our next edition of Super Fights, Wednesday night, November the 23rd. Between rounds 2 and 3 gives us an opportunity to offer our congratulations to our director, Dashing Dave Getz, and his wife Judy. The occasion, the birth of a bouncing baby boy named Sam. No truth to the rumor. Sam's first words were, ready, camera one, take one.
And congratulations also from me, Arthur McCanty.
All right, round 3 scheduled for 10. Jake Torrence wearing the red, Kevin Perry in the light blue. Pretty even to this point.
Yeah, it does look quite even. They're both excellent boxers. I don't know how much power they have, however.
Jake Torrence, more of a basic kind of a fighter, likes to slip in and out.
He only has 3 KOs to Kevin's 9.
Well, it's interesting that you pointed that out. The question about his knockout ability, he says that's the thing he's working on. He's working on a cumulative effect and also on the takeout punch, which really is non-existent to this point. Jake Torrence, October 11th, lost a decision to Jimmy Cable. That was in London. He went across the seas to fight his last bout.
It seems that Perry is scoring a lot more, though. He's connecting a lot more. He's picking a lot of punches off. This is the kind of a fight that sometimes make it difficult for judges to score, because they're very, very busy fighters, both of them. And it has to be watched very, very closely who's making the most contact.
And, of course, you notice the immediate contrast. We come from the heavyweight division fight to the junior middleweight. These guys in the 150-pound range. A lot of quickness.
What I see in Perry is that he really throws 1 and 2 and 3 jabs at a time and scores, whereas Jake will just throw that 1 jab and be satisfied.
And, you know, Perry was inactive for a long time, Arthur. He was out about 18 months because of some management difficulty. Feels he's in the best shape of his career at this point. And he says he wishes he was in this kind of shape for Tony Braxton. He lost the decision to Tony.
I tell you, he does look in great shape. They both do. They're both very lean and very good condition.
We mentioned the successful amateur career of Jake Torrence in the red. The man in the light blue was ranked number 8 in the United States as an amateur, won 81 out of 89 amateur fights, and he went to the Nationals in 1979. So good backgrounds.
No, very, very, very impressive amateur record with 140 wins. My God, that is something.
Combination by Jake Torrence opening up.
Terrific connection now on the part of Jake. He has him trapped in the corner. And the wise thing for Perry to do was hold and pull out.
And we'll wrap things up for round 3. Well, that was the best display yet. The final seconds of that last round. This is the corner of Kevin Perry.
You gotta raise your left hand and keep it there, okay? Make the jab. I didn't see this. Touch him down in the belly with the jab. You know what I mean? Touch him in the jab. Rock out, touch him here in the belly. Jab to the head, all right? Right hand around the side of the body. 3 punch, don't punch it. All right? Jab to the body, jab to the face, right hand around the side of the body. All right? Follow it with the hook. The hook's going to be it.
Well, let's take a look at a replay of that last soiree.
Yeah, Jake takes him right into the corner, and he's trapped in there. Perry's trapped in the corner. He doesn't seem to know how to get out of there. And what he does now, he comes up and he clinches, and that was a wise thing to do, to clinch and then get out of the corner.
Nice flurry by this man, Jake Torrence. Here we go, round 4, scheduled for 10 junior middleweights. You heard the words of Elvin Thompson, the trainer for Kevin Perry. Perry is managed by Marty Feldman, a familiar name. He also manages Frank the Animal Fletcher.
This is a very, very interesting fight. If anyone likes boxing, this is the kind of a fight that those boxing fans will like.
A lot of style, a lot of finesse.
They know how to bob and weave, and they know how to pick off punches. They can do anything, these 2 young men.
Jake Torrence in the red, 10 and 6, 3 knockouts. Does not possess the knockout power. Kevin Perry, 11 and 4, 9 KOs.
Kevin has very good footwork. He retreats and he comes back. He goes left and right. He's got that lateral motion that that a lot of the announcers speak of these days. Lateral motion.
Sounds like a football term, but it's...
Well, a side to side. That's a new expression I've heard the last few years. It simply means that you bob and weave left and right.
I think Joe Kapp of California made that famous last year.
No, I kind of think that Howard Cosell was the inventor of that lateral motion. He started that several years ago. But it simply means going to the left and going to the right. And that's a high, an expression, of course, that I'm quite sure that Cosell developed.
How important is that side-to-side movement to a fight?
Oh, it's very, very important. It's important to go to the left and right. It's important to bob and weave, and that's all part of your defense. You have to be effective with the offense, and of course, that's all defense. Defensive boxing.
And we're seeing a lot of that big D, as they say in basketball and football here tonight. A lot of defense. Which to the boxing purist is nice to see.
And you'll notice, I have to repeat it again, that neither of these two fighters back up at all. They just keep coming in at one another. They're very, very anxious to put a show on and very anxious to fight, and I would assume very anxious to win.
Third man in the ring is newcomer to the pro ranks of refereeing, Tony Orlando, who is a fireman from Elizabeth, New Jersey, and he's been asked countless times why he left Dawn behind, but we got that out of the way early in the fight. Tony Orlando, affable young man. Scoring, by the way, here in New Jersey by the round system, supplemental 5-point mush system in the event of a draw. Scoring done by 3 judges, Rudy Battle, Tom Kaczmarek, and William Costner.
And, of course, the 3 knockdown rule has been waived. There can be any number of knockdowns, and it's at the discretion of the referee when to stop the fight.
We hit the 10-second plateau here in round 4.
Wow, what a flurry. That was great.
Jake Torrence on the attack to the head of Perry. Let's throw it over to Dick Landis. Dick?
Okay, Stephen Arthur, thanks very much. Just a couple of comments. First of all, Kevin Perry is a one-time tough street kid, unpolished. Now he's polished. Now he's disciplined. He is a technician. You are seeing a boxing match, but it's Jake I want to talk about. You remember Jake was here on Super Fights a few months ago against Bam Bam Hines, and Jake looked like he was carrying a piano on his back. But Jake has turned it around. He told me, he said, hey, I'm in much better shape, and I have a much better mental attitude. So I think we have to give him the most improved...
Perry.
Here we go, round 5, scheduled for 10, junior middleweights.
That was a great right cross and a left hook thrown by, and they connected. But it didn't seem to faze Jake Torrence at all.
Talked about that biggest win registered by Kevin Perry over Mark Vidal. He told us his most memorable victory was the one over Louis Resto. He also knocked out Buster Drayton in the 3rd round back in 1980. Drayton KO'd Clint Jackson earlier this year and replaced him in the world ratings.
Now, he's been in with the best. He deserves to be. He's a very, very good fighter. And I wouldn't classify him as a fighter. He's a boxer. Because most people claim when you classify a man as a fighter, he's a slugger. But he is a boxer.
Meanwhile, Jake Torrence fought tough Tony Suero. Remember him? That was last year, lost by a decision in Atlantic City. We had Tony Suero on our Super Fights program earlier, losing to Mike McCallum. Left by Torrence, turned away, though, by Kevin Perry.
I tell you, this is an excellently matched fight. Very interesting spectator fight as far as boxing, good, clean boxing is concerned. They know all the moves and all the tricks.
These two are like mirror images. Similar styles, good defense.
Very elusive.
Both lightning quick.
That's absolutely right. That's a good observation. The lightning quick is right. They are fast.
There's a lunge by Kevin Perry. Didn't do that much damage on Torrence, who just very methodically walks back to his position in the center of the ring.
They're in excellent shape. You can tell the way they're dancing around the ring. They're not breathing hard at all. And it's an action-packed, they keep going constantly.
Very busy fight. You know, I was just going to point out that sometimes in fights like this, the fans begin to get edgy and impatient. They start to boo, but you haven't heard one utterance, one boo here, because they appreciate what they're seeing. This is a good boxing match.
And that was the first clinch of the evening we just saw there, with Jake Torrence holding on. And that's perfectly okay to clinch on occasions, because that's the way you get that little momentary rest.
Perry continues to flick that jab. There's a pretty solid shot by Torrence. A right to the body by Torrence. Combination by Jake.
I tell you, that Perry has lightning fast jabs, 2 and 3 at a time. They're scoring. It's going to be a tough fight to score, Steve. But these are the things that you have to watch very, very closely.
Round 5 heading for the bell.
Particularly with two fighters who are boxers this way, because that's the difference. There's not much power packed in their hands, so they have to score.
Round 6 scheduled for 10. In our main event, earlier this evening, Pinklin Thomas scoring a 10-round decision over 33-year-old Leroy Boone, remains undefeated.
These are picture boxers, really. They know how to slip. They know how to slip punches, block and weave. They're doing everything right.
It's an excellent tactical fight between these two men.
And they're in excellent shape.
Slapping blow there by Kevin Perry. Oh, combination by Jake Torrence, landing to the head.
Yeah, they seem to be very effective punches. Good combinations on a part of Jake Torrence now.
Torrence with that lightning quick right. Oh, another combination to the head of Perry. Boy, Torrence airing it out here in round 6.
Now Torrence seems to be mustering up the power, and he seems to be more powerful now in these exchanges at this time of this fight.
Those punches just exploding to Perry's head. A little bit of that defense beginning to open up by Kevin Perry now, and those punches are getting through.
It's been a long time since I've seen such an interesting fight. There's a kind of a fight that I really like. There are no knockdown, slam, bang, but it's so interesting to watch the way they slip and move and step back, and just great boxing.
It's like a red-hot pitcher's duel. Not a lot of long balls being hit, not a lot of home runs, but very scrappy. That left hook by Perry was picked off neatly by Torrence.
If I have to size it up at this particular time, it seems to me that Jake seems to have just a little more power in his punches than Kevin.
Interesting that you mentioned that. He is the one with the less knockouts.
With the fewer knockouts, yes, right.
Well, he told us that's what he's been working on in the gym, the takeout punch. And it might have effect here tonight.
Yeah, he really throws him inside, throws him up on top and all over. He's all right. They're both all right.
Closing down round 6 here, 20 seconds and counting.
It's going to be a very tough fight for these judges to score tonight.
Rudy Battle, who also is a referee. Tom Kesmaric, William Kostrov have their work cut out. The 3 judges, the referee, Tony Orlando, not involved. That'll do it for round 6. Scheduled for 10. You can make out those instructions. They were explicit. Kevin Perry's people telling him to hit Torrence on the chin. That's one of those vulnerable spots. Jake Torrence really opened up last round. Looked very good.
Yeah, Perry came out now, and he came out with a very, very good exchange. First part of this round, he looked pretty good.
You know, out there in the Richard Nixon fight, Perry was far ahead going into the 8th and final round, and Nixon landed one big right with a minute to go. And Perry went down, got up on the rubbery legs, and the referee stopped the fight.
Was it on the chin?
On the apex. So we'll see what transpires here.
It's going to be an interesting fight if it keeps going this way, if it goes to 10 on the decision. They both pick off their punches beautifully.
This is round 7. But a tactical war to this point.
They both exchange jabs at the same time, and they kind of neutralize each other in their boxing. One will have the advantage of 1 or 2 or 3 jabs, and the other guy will come back and do the same thing and neutralize it. There it is. That's what I mean. They both landed. Both scored.
I don't know who's more intense, the fighters or the crowd. Boy, all eyes on these two guys in the ring, and the fans are, the concentration level here at the Sands Hotel, I've never seen it higher.
That was a very, very good combination on the part of Perry. Very effective and very hard blows thrown. But it didn't faze Jake Torrence at all.
The defense mechanisms of these two fighters continue to reign supreme. A lot of dancing, a lot of bobbing and weaving, a lot of style.
Great boxing exhibition.
Here's a miss by Perry, but you notice he got right back on the balls of his feet to spring into action again.
They don't seem to have the power, though, however, to hurt each other. They both can take it.
Well, Torrence probably threw out his most explosive display earlier in the fight, and Perry stayed up.
Well, if there's anyone backtracking now, it would be Kevin, because Jake just keeps coming in all the time, and that's, in the eyes, of course, of the judges, is very, very important.
Round 7 passing into the night. Oh, there, Donald Curry. Torrence fought Donald Curry, who is now the WBA welterweight king, and Torrence really didn't fight back. The referee disqualified Jake in round 4, and there's no question he looks a lot different this evening. Jake Torrence in the red. This is round 8, scheduled for 10, here at the Sands in Atlantic City. And this could not be more even, this fight.
Yeah, no question about what you said, Steve. That is right. He's a very, very improved fighter. He's, to me, an excellent fighter. I can't understand why he was disqualified for lack of performance, because he performs very well.
Biggest win registered by Jake Torrence, Arthur, was back on November 3rd, 1981. He upset Danny Mad Dog Paul in Chicago, 8-round unanimous decision. Paul was 17-1 at the time. So Jake, he's had his ups and downs. He's trying to snap the 4-match losing streak. He's 10-6 overall, but looking very impressive here. So is his counterpart, Kevin Perry.
You look at that Jake Torrence very closely, the way he picks off those jabs. Just remarkable, the way he just picks them off and doesn't get hit by those jabs.
A right to the ribs by Kevin Perry.
There's a case. I'm sorry, there was a case right there. He just seems to be in time with everything that he does. But that one connected.
As Jake Torrence doubles and triples up on the jab.
And that's what you have to watch closely, because it's going to be a tough one to score.
Torrence seems to have a second win here. Moving a lot quicker than he was in the last round. Combination, and that left uppercut had effect on Perry's midsection.
Jake is landing very well now on the inside.
Torrence looks to be oozing with confidence right now here in the 8th round.
There he is, picking those off again. Looks good. Looks good in there.
Little slip there by Perry.
Oh, he's got Kevin on the backtrack now. That's a point that the judges will have to look at closely. Who's the guy that's backing up? Who's the man pushing the fight?
Perry just came back with a right uppercut, a rocket. Under 30 seconds remaining in round 8.
Jake is pushing the fight now. He's the aggressor.
Hold it.
Tony Orlando has to go to work.
To me, so far, looks like a very good round for Jake Torrence.
And he landed just there in that sequence. 5 seconds and counting. Round 8. Further comments right now from our man on the sidelines, Dick Landis.
Okay, Stephen Arthur, thanks very much. A couple of comments. First of all, I want to say that folks here are a little bored, and I think that's because most folks don't recognize a good boxing match when they see one. This is a good boxing match. Keep in mind that these guys only have 16 fights apiece. And look what they're doing in the ring. Truly technicians, a great, great boxing match, but I'm very, very happy to see Jake doing so well. He really has, win or lose tonight, he really has turned it around from what we saw a few months ago. Good boxing match, although the crowd's a little bored. Gentlemen?
All right, we pointed it out before to the boxing purist. I think any purist of any sport would appreciate what we're seeing here tonight.
Well, there's no question about that, but a lot of people, as Dick did say, do not appreciate the art of boxing in its purest form as it is tonight. They like to see a guy go down, and they like to see some action. But to me, I really am enjoying this fight tremendously.
Few people here, of course, have had some problems at the tables. But that's another story. Round 9 scheduled for 10 junior middleweight action. A thumping left by Kevin Perry, but didn't seem to phase Torrence. Now Perry slips again. Tripped right over the foot of Torrence.
I'm sure if they saw a knockdown now, everybody would come to life. Very effective jabbing on a part of Jake Torrence. He keeps coming in. He's pushing the fight now, and he's throwing that jab very, very effectively. And he's snapping his opponent's jabs off effectively also.
There's a pretty good right by Kevin Perry, but it might have been a glancing blow.
Well, Jake was rolling with that, and it didn't hurt him at all.
Slithered right off the head. Left jab by Torrence. Members of the crowd yelling jab to Kevin Perry.
There was a beautiful jab on a part of Perry. It snapped the head back of Jake Torrence.
A lot of noise in that exchange, but no damage.
This is a very closely contested fight, and it would almost require a knockdown to separate them apart.
Would not want to be a judge. This is a tough one to call. Midway through the 9th round. Two very clever fighters.
They both have excellent jabs. Very, very cat-like fast.
Nobody's really ever been in trouble this fight. Ooh, there's a hard right by Kevin Perry to the side of Torrence's face. That might have been one of the best punches of the night.
It seems to me that if either Perry or Jake would kind of settle down and get more power and started dancing around so much, concentrate on power and balance, there could be, you know, more effective body punches thrown.
A heavy left uppercut a second ago by Perry, but it was blocked beautifully by Jake Torrence.
Now the previous round, the 8th round, was a good round for Jake. Now this is a fairly good round for Perry. So this is how close this fight is. It seems to be just seesawing from one to the other.
Under 30 seconds in round 9. Again, that left jab by Perry is picked off by Torrence. Now they both stopped for a second, became stationary. Now they pick it up again. Round 9 concludes.
On Super Fights in November, the former light heavyweight champion Mike Rossman resumes his comeback bid. Rossman called it quits for a while, but now he's back with 3 straight knockout wins. In November, Rocky Lockridge, fresh off a very impressive win over Cornelius Boza Edwards, continues his march to a championship. You know he's destined to wear the crown. Also Also on Super Fights in November, the top-rated lightweight Livingstone Bramble is looking better than ever. Bramble features one of the best uppercuts in the business. It's all here in November on Super Fights of the Month.
That win by Lockridge on the undercard of the Arguello-Pryor fight, and Aaron Pryor announcing his retirement just recently. Here we go, round 10, 10th and final round. Junior middleweights, Kevin Perry in the light blue, Jake Torrence in the red. It's been all strategy, cleverness, style.
Well, I tell you, this round could be the round that's going to tell the tale in this fight, because it has been very, very closely contested all the way through.
Center of the ring.
Oh, so far, Perry seems to be doing quite well with the left and right. He's been scoring. He's still scoring. What I like to do is break the round down into 3 different parts for the first minute, second minute, and third minute, and vote for them separately and individually, and then you can come up with the right score. Break it down into 3 different minutes. Score accordingly.
Look at this. Jake Torrence has Perry in trouble, but Perry able to wiggle out. We haven't seen much of that activity here tonight because these guys are just too quick, too elusive. They're like cats, and they're able to scramble away. There's a combination by Perry.
Yeah, and so far for the first part of this round, it seems like Perry.
Well, this might be the telling tale. The 10th and final round is Perry. Looks very impressive. Midway through the round. Perry with a left uppercut. That left missed.
Perry is continuing to do very well in this part of this round.
Torrence might be a bit on the weary side from that last flurry by Perry. Both men showing great conditioning, though. Excellent stamina here, reaching the 10th round.
They could go 20 rounds, Steve, the shape they're in.
Tremendous. They're still bouncing around as if it was the first round.
Perry continues to score in this round. In my estimation, he's winning this round now. It's about the second part. I'm not timing it right to the minute, but it seems like the second part, he's also winning this part of this round.
Final seconds, under 30.
Come on, hurry up.
Well, your rare clinches in this fight.
Yeah, they haven't done that very much at all, clinching. Fine boxing exhibition.
I think both corners have to be proud. And that's going to do it.
Yeah, it carries. Nice job.
Well, Jake Torrence holds his hands up in victory. Kevin Perry thinks he is the triumphant one. It's all in the hands of Rudy Battle, Tommy Kasmarek, and William Kostrup. Don't rule out a draw as well. That's a definite possibility. But Perry looked very good in that last round.
He dominated that round.
Should I throw the $64,000 question your way, Mr. McCanny, as you look at the judges totaled up?
Well, I'll tell you, I would say, really, coming to a decision, I would say that Perry edged the fight out, really. Very, very close fight. And what you said, a draw would even be very, very fair.
Well, here he is, Jake Torrence, looking to snap a 4-match losing streak. Here's some of that action.
Yeah, that was a very, very good last round for Perry. He scored more. If he'd done that a lot sooner in the fight, he would have perhaps done a lot better.
Well, nobody really took decisive control of this fight. It was very even right throughout from the opening bell. There's Jake Torrence on the left of your screen, Kevin Perry on the right, and they are very eagerly awaiting the decision as Ed Darien picks up the microphone. He's got the totals in his left hand. And we are also eagerly awaiting the official word.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner by unanimous decision, Kevin "the Bull" Perry. Perry.
Well, you hit it. Arthur, Kevin Perry. It must have been an awfully close unanimous decision.
Yeah, it was a close unanimous decision, but I do feel that Perry did win the fight, however.
So Kevin Perry now 12-4. Jake Torrence now loses 5 in a row, but this was a bittersweet defeat. He's now 10-7 after being 10-2 at one point in his career.